Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Center Circle, and I am Jermaine Brown. Lots of quantity, but little quality. Stakeholders are having their say on the Jamaica Women's Premier League, where goals are being scored at a dime a dozen. Competitiveness is a necessity for sports to survive, but the predictability in Jamaica's Women's Premier League could be its downfall. Since the return of the league after a long hiatus, the weekly scores have left more questions than answers. But the common consensus is that the current system is in need of help. Scores like 28-0 and 20-0 seem to be the order of the day.
Well, to be honest with you, it can't be pleasing, but I'd predicted it. I expected it with a 3 to 4 years break, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel for the players in terms of national selection. Very few, if any. We're always going to see departure of quite a few talented players. Some have migrated, some have gone into the working world fully. They're not interested anymore. So this, which is happening, was expected. And to be honest with you, as bad as it is, I think I'd rather say congrats to the JFF for getting the league going with the understanding that you will go through a teething stage.
Some of the clubs that are playing that are having the high scores, they are seasonal players that are with them. You might be aware that there's no Waterhouse this year, and most of the players are associated with Fraser's Whip. So you will see Fraser's Whip playing and scoring so much goals. But if you look also, you see like the Alliance Baptiste, Mile Gully and Vere. When the season started, they were getting those big scores, but it's picking up. The preparation are getting more intense.
The preparation for the competition could also have been the downfall for many teams, as there was uncertainty around the start date. As a result, a number of teams decided to watch from the sidelines, including perennial champions Barbican.
First we heard January. Nothing happened. Nothing was said, so we didn't know what was going on. Then we heard July. Again, nothing happened. So at this point of time, the confidence was somewhat dented, and curiosity started to set in as to whether a league would have started. Then we heard that they got some support from FIFA and that the league would be back on board. Then they set November. Then November came and we heard it pushed back to December again. And at that point I was like, okay, here we go again. But somehow, some way they got it going. And I believe, for myself also, but other teams were kind of disheartened and very, we can't be bothered with this.
We at the JFF had to take some blame for that, because at one stage we wanted to start, I remember last year, May, and it so happened that we canceled, the club stopped training, and then we come back again. So I am saying to Jamaica, just give us some time coming out of COVID. We are working very hard, and I'm working too with the other parishes, not just with my parish, but all the other parishes, because we are putting the women's committees in place to help us with the development of women's football island-wide. So don't watch the scores now. Give them some time, knowing that we were out for a while, but it will gradually pick up, I promise you.
At the moment, Fraser's Whip and Cavalier are the standard bearers. But the league cannot be sustained by just two teams.
Before we qualified for the World Cup, we didn't have grassroots for women's football. We were just at the senior level. Now we are looking at the grassroots level. Between April and May of this year, you'll be seeing the under-14 island-wide competitive. So we are building from that stage. So all the parish association has to prepare under-14 girls team so that we can start the development. We are also looking at under-20 to feed the national team. Instead of looking at a tier 2, we're looking at and under 20. It's just for us to sit now and fine tune it so we can have a feeder program for the National Premier League.
I think it was in 2018 when we qualified. I said it again that we should try and find a way to ride the momentum, ride that wave, use it to develop the league and to develop coaches, players, everything, and raise the standard, and nothing happened. The 1998 Men's World Cup, nothing happened. 2019 Women's World Cup, nothing happened. 2023 World Cup, I'm praying and hoping that somehow the JFF will get something going. But the question is, how can you have a league like this and you have a historic team qualifying for 2 World Cups back to back? And it's kind of difficult to even answer that one because I can't even fathom it.
Despite the high scores, Coach Charlie Edwards of former champions Barbican says a lot of the current players would not find a place in past Premier League teams.
A lot of these players couldn't make a lot of the teams 4 years ago. And I'm not saying that to dishearten them, but work needs to be done. The coaches need to start coaching these players, start working with them more, because when you watch the games being played, it's so disorganized. There's no structure out there, no shape, nothing. It's pathetic.
So disappointing that come this summer, the Reggae girls will be heading off for back-to-back World Cups. But for the second time, there will be no local-based representative in the squad.
And I'm not going to blame the coaches and the technical staff for the senior women's program. It's because of we lag behind. Yes, we had COVID for over 2 years. Nothing happened, but we lag behind a little. And we're not going to see any in the short time. I'm going to be straightforward and true to you.
What I think we need to see is the local coaches that are working with the national program being given a program to work with the local-based players to get them up to speed, so that at some point when the national team comes here, they can play with them, train with them, and whoever can make it, make it. Give them at least a chance. Let them fail. But don't put a situation in place where there's absolutely no chance for them. It's not good. It's very disheartening. And the interest has been dying.
So if the route to the national team is not through the local league, then the other option could be the collegiate route.
Definitely the college route is good for some of them, but they're only the young ones, because there's a gap rule that if you're out of institution, a learning institution for more than a year, then you won't qualify under the NCAA rules. So it would be good for the younger ones in high school, or just coming out of high school. But what happened to the other players who are 24, 25, out of high school, 5, 6, 7 subjects? You can't get a scholarship. You can't go pro. You can't go anywhere. You can't make your national team. What's the point?
When they go off to university, the opportunity and the training and the exposure that they get there, they would not gotten it in Jamaica. So this is one of the platforms that we use from the Women's Committee standpoint. And before, when we were Jamaica Women's Football Association, this is what we use to enhance the development of our players. So this is our platform to send them off, but it's not the avenue for them to be a national. They can be a national right here once they have the ability to represent and play well.
According to chairperson of Jamaica's women's football, Elaine Walker-Brown, the parish associations are also to be blamed for the lack of development in local women's football.
You have people that will enjoy the moment of the success of the girls, but they have not. And they have not shown any interest in contributing to the developing stage within their parishes. Until the presidents, with no apology, until the presidents of the Parish Association see the importance and see the opportunities that is there for the young ladies. Because if you look back, Brian, this is one of the reasons why I took presidency of the St. Catherine Football Association. I never dreamed I would be in this position. But when I look at the opportunity that came for the girls, and the opportunity for boys are way exceeding that. Why do we have more players? Why we don't have more boys from the parishes gaining scholarship overseas. Why? What are our parishes association doing where the development is concerned?
But what I'd love for her to do as a JFF board member is to start send out a copy of her model, what she did, to all the parishes and ask them to follow suit. Let us start the development right across Jamaica, east, west, north, south. Get the development programs going, because I've found players to play for Barbican already who was not even in a high school, just playing a pickup game with guys out there on a field, and they were quality players. So the same way I can find that if the parishes start that development program, you'll be surprised what we may come up with.
As for the proposed Tier 2 league by the JFF, Edwards says this could lead to a watering down of the league.
If this is the quality for Tier 1, then my God, what is the quality going to be for Tier 2? You know, is it that we were mandated by FIFA that we should have a Tier 2 competition? Then you need to tell FIFA we're just starting up a Tier 1. When we get to the point for a Tier 2, then we'll go to Tier 2. But right now I can't see a Tier 2. But that is a big argument that they want a Tier 2 league. And you know, I think the JFF, whomever is pushing for this, needs to sit down and think about it properly. Are you going to water down the thing that badly? Are you going to force clubs into Tier 2? What are we going to have next? 51? Beating? Makes no sense.